Everybody, welcome to Motley Mimic. And today we're doing something different. Haven't done it yet.
Different.
We are gonna build a character. We're gonna build a character.
Not just any character.
Not any character. Not any just a generic normal character you would do. No. We're building the best of maybe any character you could ever build.
Yep, you got to start with the best,
which is
Batman.
Batman, you say?
That's right. Today,
sound out the comments if you know what movie that one came from. Anyways, Batman. We're building Batman. Because, I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to, like, build Batman in their game, right? I think we've all probably thought to ourselves, yeah, I would like to be Batman in the game sometime.
Absolutely. When Brad was first introducing me to D&D, we were going to play a one-shot, I said,
I asked him, what do you want to do? Like, what do you like? What do you like in fantasy, anime, whatever? And you're like,
I want to be Batman.
Batman. I'm like, all right, Batman, we're doing it. And we built Batman.
He was great. Oh,
it was fun. It was a blast.
Cool.
I seem to recall a good moment. I think the guy was in an outhouse, and you.
Oh yes.
And you took him out.
Did.
It was great.
It was good.
We were all laughing so good.
Batman, dropped in on the guy, grapple, knocked him out, took his uniform, assumed his identity.
It was great.
Very Batman.
It was great. It was great.
Very Batman. That's kind of my Batman, anyways.
That's right. Anyway, so we've both decided to build an idea for Batman.
Yep.
We've got our own take on Batman. So we're gonna roll to see who describes their build first.
Okay, great.
And just so you all know, I have not seen Tyler's and he's not seen mine.
Nope.
So
we're going into it blind.
We're going to blind. Roll, Tyler.
I got an 8.
Ooh, this green dice does not like you.
I don't like it either.
Oh, an 8 as well.
Also
we
rolled
tied.
an 8. That is hilarious.
What are the odds of this?
This is a legit roll-off.
This is a legit roll-off. 15.
All right.
Here we go.
I'm starting to like you.
Come on, die. Actually, it's okay if Ty goes first. He was giving a sneak preview. Now I'm really excited to hear the full details.
It's gonna be good. A
13. Okay. Tyler wins.
I get to go
Tyler
first.
wins. He gets to go first. I'm actually excited by this. I have no way I feel bad by this at all.
Okay.
So I want to hear. Okay. So you're Batman.
I'm Batman now. However, my ideal Batman is the Arkham video game series Batman.
Arkham video games. Okay, that's cool.
Right.
That's cool.
And so there's a couple of things that he's pretty reliant on, and there's a couple of things from the game that I brought into this build. High level, you're going to be a monk, and you're going to be a monk to a certain level, but then you're going to switch to an artificer.
Ooh.
Yes.
A monk artificer.
Monk artificer. Now, artificer is really important for my build because one of the things an artificer gets are these specialized armors, which
okay, let's back up for a second.
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with the monk. Okay, let's go back even further.
Okay.
I'll care to start with a cool backstory and a background.
Okay.
So which background did you pick for your Batman?
Starting at the top.
Starting at the top. Let's do this.
Background for Batman, he is a haunted one.
Oh, a hunted one.
That's right. He is.
Oh, that's clever.
Haunted.
That's clever.
By the death of his parents.
Oh, that is cool. That is unique. There you go. Very different thought than mine. So that's cool. I like this.
These are all personality traits straight out from the haunted one.
Okay.
And it totally fits Batman. Personality traits and ideals, bonds, flaws. So I don't run from evil. Evil runs from me.
Right. Oh, that is awesome.
His ideal, I have a dark calling that puts me above the law.
Oh.
Okay. Bonds, I would sacrifice my life and my soul to protect the innocent. And finally, flaws, I am a purveyor of doom and gloom who lives in a world without hope.
Oh, that is off the bat right there. It doesn't matter what you're building. You're like, I'm Batman because of this. And that's
right
like,
off the bat.
That's yes, Batman. Oh, that is great. That is great.
A flaw in my build is that I determined that I wasn't going to really feel like I was playing Batman until he got very, very high level. I mean, we're talking in the teens or almost to level 20.
So really, to feel like Batman with your build, you got to be your high level.
You got to be at the highest level.
In any way we all look at Batman probably as a high level character anyway.
Sure.
But you're saying you feel like Batman
right
when you're at the top. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
There's some stuff you don't get till like later on, and because I'm multi-classing, you kind of have to get pretty deep in before you really feel like him. Though you'll definitely feel like you're a member of the Shadow League in your earlier levels as a monk.
Okay. So you're starting monk.
Starting monk. You're gonna take a bunch of monk levels. It's like 6.
So what about the monk? What about the monk made you want to pick monk? Why?
The subclass of open hand. So Batman, I saw this meme one time where it's like, okay, take Batman, take Iron Man, and it's like, then add an EMP. Now Iron Man's just a guy, and Batman's still a ninja.
That's right.
Although, you know, there is a ninja. I should say, in this case, I chose Monk for all that extra movement speed and the control, right? My Batman is strictly non-lethal, like he is in the video game. He can't even kill anybody with his tank, you know. He's so non-lethal. Right. And so the Monk of the Open Palm, I think I said open hand before. Sorry.
Way of the open hand.
Is it open hand?
Way of the open hand.
Okay, open hand.
Way of the open hand.
The way of the open hand has a lot of those like concepts kind of built into it, where you can stun people and you can like flurries of blows and just hit them a bunch. Lots of extra movement and all that goodness.
Right. Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Some of it you sacrifice, though. You sacrifice some of that movement if you put on armor, and because some of it's unarmored movement.
Right.
But I think that's a good trade-off. And the thing is that as we've been establishing in the campaign we're in right now, I got the tank in our campaign right now, and you can't wear armor 24/7.
It's true.
So even without his armor, my Batman is still a pretty lethal dude.
That's very
who's faster and more dangerous in other ways now.
Right. I think that's very titular Batman anyway. Because again, it doesn't matter what situation you're catching Batman in.
Yep.
He's always gonna be dangerous. He's always gonna be crazy. Like doesn't matter if if they figure out it's like it's Dr. Hugo Strange. He's like, oh, it's really Bruce Wayne, right? It's like no, Batman's still dangerous. He doesn't need his gear.
He doesn't.
When he gets his gear, it's like now it's over, but he's still good, right?
That's right. And so from level 7 on, you're going Artificer the rest of the way. And a big piece of why I want to go to Artificer for so many high levels is because eventually you get 5 attunement slots.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so you're really going for these magic items.
My Batman is huge on equipment. He's huge on equipment.
I would say any Batman. I mean, he's got his titular
utility
belt. His utility belt. So, okay, this is cool.
I'll drop back and talk about skills for a second. My Batman has acrobatics, insight, intimidation with expertise,
right?
Because when you're going after those Riddler trophies and you're getting those those guys, you just say Riddler now, and they're like, oh, I'll tell you everything. So it's like he's got advantage on intimidation checks and a +15 at this highest level. So he's like these street level thugs. He's gonna find out what they know.
Right.
He's got investigation, stealth, and survival. I did have to take a couple of feats to achieve that. Actually, I only had to take one. I took the it's called Skill Expert to get intimidation and expertise in intimidation in the same feat. You'll love this. Another feat that I took is Skilled. And I chose expertise in 3 types of vehicles: land vehicles, air vehicles, and water vehicles.
Oh, that is awesome.
Because my Batman has a tank,
right,
and a boat, and a plane.
Again, he's got all of it, right? I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, with the arc of Batman for sure, but
that's right.
Any Batman, right? Again, he's good with all of them. He's got the Batmobile, he's got his Bat plane, he's got the Bat boat, he's got some form of everything. So that's awesome.
Well, because he's an artificer, he helps like put them together himself. You know, he's got Felix Fox to kind of start him off, and then he adds modifications to it himself, and that's very Arkham Batman. He does a lot of tweaking and work on his own equipment. And sometimes you go to a tool station, he sits down and he just like rigs together a new tool on the spot, which is a lot of what an artificer is able to do. The other feats I take, because my Batman, I didn't say his race before, but he's human, so that I could get an extra feat at the beginning. So
variant human is what you're going with.
Variant human. He has keen mind. That's the first feat I give him, because dude don't forget nothing, and he is wicked smart.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, cool. And the last feat I gave him was Skulker. To give him advantage in these. And again, it's like, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have his special armor that gives him advantage on
he's still good at
checks.
Run around the dark and
really great at stealth checks.
Okay.
And he's a creature of the night, and so you know, you go around these dark alleyways, you're not going to see him coming.
Right.
Okay, so then a big piece of this artificer are these different types of armors that you can have.
Right.
And so I went to town on this. The infiltrator armor is kind of his bread and butter.
Oh,
but he's
this
got
is a good idea.
He's got a bunch of other like armor types.
Like the armor he uses when he beats up Superman, right? Is like the full heavy armor one. I mean, Arkham doesn't do that, but
no, you're right.
But you're right. But just like Batman has all the different tools and armors he uses, like, oh, this is cool.
You nailed it on the head, though.
Okay.
That's the armor of enhanced defense.
Yeah.
He's got that for if he's got to go to brawl something big. Armor of resistance, armor of magical strength, probably for the Batman fight or Superman fight, and an armor of tools.
Nice.
For all the different situations, because that's how Batman works.
Right.
As an artificer, he does have certain spells, and how I would role play that is these are like mods of his armor or of equipment that he has that's not officially like equipment. I wouldn't necessarily like that's maybe a little bit of a flaw in mine. Batman doesn't use spells, you say, and it's like, well, to quote Thor in a very popular film franchise, or actually maybe it's Kate Foster who says, when you get advanced enough, like science becomes indiscernible from magic. So he's just got super advanced.
You're right. Oh, that's Thor, just somebody else, some other Asgardian who says that. But yes, very Thor.
And with that, a big piece of this Batman build is Shocking Grasp.
Oh, okay.
Because he's got those electric gauntlets,
right?
And he can, and I mean the armor feeds into that too because it has lightning launcher.
Oh, okay.
And he has like one of my favorite equipments is the lightning this one that shoots this electric charge that you can shoot out, and once you get advanced enough, you can shoot it out and it just like zaps out everybody and stuns all of them,
right?
All sorts of stuff. I think lightning launcher like feeds into that really quick. So to round off mine, I'll go through like his utility belt and what's on it, and then we'll kick it over to you. So his utility belt is kind of a reskinning of the efficient quiver.
Oh, okay, that's a cool idea.
And he has the belt of Storm Giant Strength. So I'm taking advantage of all those 5 attunement slots that he has. So he has the strength, like he's got a really high dex, really high intelligence, and belt of Storm Giant Strength just throws his strength through the roof.
Right.
That said, you know, just like real Batman, if you catch him off with his equipment off of him, you know, he's a little bit more vulnerable, but not really because he's a way awesome monk.
Right.
And then as far as his equipment goes, I loaded him up with beads of force, those little pellets he throws out that blow up.
Yeah.
And dust of disappearance, so he can throw down a thing and poosh, and then he's gone.
Right.
Rope of climbing.
Oh yeah.
Which you can just like tell it to just zip out, and then
but it could be like your grapple gun, like
grapple
he does.
Gun,
right,
exactly.
That's awesome.
And his armor, I neglected to mention, he does have like bracers of flying daggers, so he can throw out these batarangs.
Nice.
And he's got the arm blades, so he's got those going on his armor as well as like some stuff. And then the helm of awareness or goggles of night, so he can swap between them. So it's like his night vision versus his like just basic awareness vision.
Right.
And then finally, his last piece and perhaps his most crucial piece of equipment, as an artificer, you can choose to have a homunculus servant.
Oh.
And in this case, it's named Alfred.
Oh, that's classic. Oh, that's awesome. I like that.
So that's
nice little twist there at the end.
That's my monk, artificer, Batman.
Nice.
Arkham City Batman.
Arkham City Batman, monk, artificer. There you go, guys. All right, my turn. Now, my take on Batman. You know, I first started. I was torn because at first I started. I was like, yeah, I'm just build like the traditional Batman, which was like a monk fighter, kind of thing. But I said no, like I'm gonna. It's like, no, if I'm going to do Batman in Dungeons & Dragons, I was like, no, like Batman, like there's a lot of like fantasy, like, but I was like with criminals, they have like a fear and a lot of stories that go around Batman, right? So I'm like, okay, what could you do with Batman that just like takes those stories and then makes them real?
Yeah. Did you take inspiration for your Batman from anybody in comics or movies? Or is this just sort of your
it's just kind
nostalgia?
Of like, yeah, it's kind of like all the Batmans, but it's kind of like, how can I just take these fantastical things that Batman says he does or does do and just make it like a real thing? So, for instance, imagine in your D&D world, a guy that's jumping through rooftops, hunting down a bounty, and the guy looks around the corners, and he sees, was that a bat? What was that? What was that over the? And as he looks up, he realizes a giant bat and a sword bat's descending upon the guy as he gets knocked out. So my Batman is a ranger
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not just any ranger, but the Swarm Keeper Ranger.
Okay. All right.
So hear me out. So we'll start from the beginning though, right?
Yeah,
Background. So titular Batman is the billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, right?
Well, I guess maybe that's a little bit.
Iron
Man, oops.
Right, but he is the better playboy.
With my friend, 1 cent, you won't need another cent.
That is right.
Or whatever it is.
One fundraiser with my people.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So Batman is the playboy, right? By day, he plays the city crowd, right? Or he plays the high scene. So in mine, he's a noble, right? And again, I think in a fantasy world, right? Who are the nobles of fantasy, or who the rich people of fantasy?
The rich people. Yeah, the nobles.
The rich people are the nobles, right? So he's a noble. So some of his backgrounds and traits are more like to keep up with this idea of he's a noble, right? So for instance, right, like, although some plays in this too, right? So for instance, I have for his trait, right, come from the noble, right? It's like, despite my noble birth, I do not place myself above other folk, right? Which I think is Batman, right?
Yeah.
He's there to serve and help the people. He loves his city, right? He wants to save it, kind of thing, right?
So real quick, that means you're definitely not Lego Batman because he doesn't pay his taxes.
You're right. Definitely not Lego Batman. We are not Lego Batman. This is the Brad take on Batman in D&D. This is just like totally its own thing. Anyways, his ideal. So again, noble obligation, right? He feels obligated in a way to help and save his city, right? That's again, I think you take almost any Batman from anywhere, and they all kind of feel that same obligation to help the people of the city, right?
Yeah.
And then his Bond idea was like, and I guess it's kind of a different twist in this, right? The normal one in the book, right, is the common folk must see me as a hero of the people. And it's not so much they must see, but he knows that he needs to be that symbol, which could be a hero or could be the villain, but needs that symbol to help keep people going and have hope or strike that fear into the criminal, right? So they need to see him as that symbol. In this case, could be a hero, right?
That's cool.
And then his flaw, and this is just more for him to play the noble in front of people, right? Just like the world revolves around me, right? That's how he acts to people. That's the flaw he portrays to everybody is, yes, I am the billionaire. I am here to throw my money around and go do things with girls. And
I just bought this hotel.
Buy the hotel, buy the fancy cars, right? So that's kind of fun. Like, yes, he acts like the world revolves around him, even though he knows it's very contradictory to other ones.
Feeling very Christian Bale because he's like,
it is Christian Bale.
Did I catch the light? He's like, you don't watch the news very much, do you? Should I go to the hospital?
And I do like Christian Bale Batman a lot.
Sure.
This is where
sorry. I won't put words in your mouth.
No, we're good.
Go on.
Because I probably will say one of my favorite Batmans is probably the animated series Batman. Whenever I think of Batman, it's like, I mean, it's like that one, and it's like Christian Bale. So it's like, but that series, man, I love that growing up. So
yes.
But if I did that one, it'd probably be like a monk fighter kind of thing. But
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
So I also chose human. Obviously, Batman's a human, so it makes sense. But I also chose variant human because I want to give him a feat. But I was a little different here. So playing on the idea of Batman, learned how to fight, right? And knows how to punch people. So I actually got the fighting initiate feat, which lets you get a fighting style. And so then I chose the unarmed fighting style so he can punch people just as good as any monk can.
Okay.
Unless you're a super high level monk, but you didn't go super high level. But anyways, he can punch people just fine, right? And then from there, so I did Ranger, right? Why did I do Ranger? Well, aside from the Swarm Keeper, which we'll get in a second, right? Rangers are good at survival, which is used for tracking things, which is what he does a lot. And I think like in a fantasy setting, right, like you probably are survival tracking people a lot. If you're, and in this case too, I kind of look at him as like a bounty. He's just not any random bounty hunter. He's going to go after the big bounties that really make a difference to his city and his society, right? Sure. He guys go after the bounties that he thinks that people are not the greatest people kind of thing, right? Or, the quote unquote villains of bounties, if you could say, right? So so totally in the survival and tracking thing. Batman also though is a really good detective. He's always called by Ra's al Ghul, detective, right? He's the grandest investigator.
World's greatest detective.
Probably just as good as Sherlock Holmes. I think he's better.
Probably. Because he has a plane.
He has a balloon. So as far as feats go throughout the levels, I also gave him the skilled feat.
Great.
So that he could get some of those extra feats, so he get investigation. He's also knows a lot of history of things he researched and goes into. So I would give him something like history, right? Obviously, he's going to need things like stealth. And he's going to need, I actually would also give him like, what's it called? The sleight of hand, right?
Okay.
He's very good at like do things like that. I also would would try and get him proficiency in tools too, thieves tools, because he does pick locks and do things like that too. So totally I think that's within his repertoire.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Going on in his feats kind of down, the other thing that kind of stands out to me with Batman is he's a really good fighter, right? Doesn't matter what situation Scrappy gets into, he knows how to get out of it. He knows all the right moves. He performs them just right. And so and this is why I almost went fighter, because like fighter with like the battle master, because it gets all the martial fighting styles.
Yeah,
it's like okay, or the maneuvers, like that's cool. But in this case, like no, he's still straight ranger, but eventually he's going to get the martial adept feat, which gives him some of those maneuvers.
Okay,
which lets him trip people and disarm people and feint and stuff like that. So those maneuvers I feel like really encompass like the way Batman fights. Yes, he fights with fists, but he can do all the fancy things to get out of a scrap he needs. So for that,
that's awesome.
The other thing I did, the other feat I gave him actually was alert. Because like Batman's like really never surprised, right?
Yeah.
He always sees it coming,
yeah,
right? And usually in a fight, he's always also probably going first,
yep.
right? He's ambushing, he's not surprised, but he is usually going first too. So I say, yeah, he's alert, total alert. I do like your idea of giving a key mind. I toyed with that one, but like, and it, if you wanted to not, pick up, if you wanted to not maybe get an ability score improvement, you could actually give him the key feat. I think that is a really good one to do. I totally like that.
I'll throw it back at you too. I thought a lot about sleight of hand, though. My Arkham City Batman, that's actually that's not a thing that's in his, but in the comics, like one of the coolest parts, I mean, the new 52 did a lot of things wrong, maybe, but they did one thing right, which was when Batman first meets Green Lantern, he sleight of hands Green Lantern's ring off of him.
Right.
And he's looking at it going, oh, this is interesting. And Green Lantern didn't even notice.
No, he lost his ring.
Yeah. And I think later on in one of the Justice League Dark ones, he uses that same thing on Jon Stewart, who's another Green Lantern, because he's been like taken over by this demon and he sees everything as a monster, but he's able to get that off of him, and then he just tases him. It's like So yeah, I thought a lot about sleight of hand. So kudos for working that in.
So yeah, and because again, like I said, like Batman is just again, I think as any Batman, according to kind of Justice League 2, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he has a plan to defeat every member of the Justice League, right?
Yep.
And I think if you're going to do that, you got to have a broad spectrum of skills just to know how to handle and do what to do. Like, yes, I can pickpocket the ring off the guy's finger.
That's right. That's right.
But also, to the degree, like, Batman oftentimes will go to parties or high society type events, right? And he will clandestinely steal information or something like that. And so, again, I feel like that kind of comes into a sleight of hand moment, right?
Sure.
If you take Christian Bale Batman, or you even take the Justice League Batman,
Batfleck,
Ben Affleck, Batman.
Ben Affleck.
And like he's like sneaking down to then sleight of hand, put in the thing to kind of learn information on in the server, right?
Yeah.
So again, I feel like sleight of hand is very much up his alley too.
Absolutely.
So to get into the more ranger, right? Favorite enemy, right? Humanoids,
there you
right?
go.
Because that's what Batman does. He hunts down criminals that are all humanoids.
Well, and he's an urban bounty hunter.
And that's a background. And I thought about giving the urban bounty hunter background, but again, I feel like they overlapped a lot with just the normal ranger stuff anyway.
I see.
And so again, with that too, like you're not going to be picking dragons if you're playing Batman. Right?
Sure.
You're going to be picking humans and maybe some other human like elves, whatever's prominent.
And he defends his city.
He defends his
city. In a city.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So he's picking lots of different. As you level up as ranger, you're picking all your different favorite enemies, right? And not going with the favorite foe alternate ability, but actual favorite enemies still. You're picking all the different human types, so that way you get bonuses, advantages to track them and to find them and to figure out exactly what they're doing. It gives you advantages on like your investigation check. So again, so for instance too, one of the other things you get as the ranger, if you go with the alternate ranger ability that was just released in Natasha's book, you can actually get an ability called Canny, which gives you expertise in one skill.
Okay.
And so in this case, I would not pick up something like expertise in investigation, because again, as your favorite enemy, you're probably already getting advantage on a lot of those checks anyway to do things like investigation or survival to track them.
Right.
So in this case, I actually would give him expertise in actually stealth.
Interesting.
Because Batman always just like,
of course.
He's talking to Commissioner Gordon and he's just like gone, right? Yep. So again, good expertise in that.
Yeah.
And then eventually and you could do that, or I could maybe consider doing survival, because he is really good at finding the bad guy and doing things. So I might consider survival instead of that, only because some other abilities that the ranger gets later anyway.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is really cool too is just thinking like, yeah, my Batman does maybe not have a grapple gun, but he's got roving, so he actually has a climb speed, so he can get up on top of those buildings just as fast as anybody else.
Great.
And he does get a little more movement speed, so he is faster, so he can chase down and get the criminal.
Cool.
The other thing I think is cool, like if I'm a Batman, so I'm encompassing the fear of these bounties in me, right? And so I think like, well, what could we play in that, which is fun, is so as a ranger, you get like primal awareness, right, which gives you extra spells. So one of those is like beast sense, and speak with animals. I thought, it'd be really cool. Like, you're Batman, you speak with animals, you speak with bats, and they help you track down and find your enemies.
That's cool.
Okay. And then it kind of go into the ranger too, right? I was thinking like, oh, tool belt. It's like, well, we usually oftentimes will call your spells your tool belt in many ways. So that's kind of my thought was like,
okay.
I mean, with the ranger, right, you can get like Hunter's Mark, you can get Alarm, you can get, things like detecting magic, which can help you detect something maybe you'd be finding with a bad guy or evidence. So you can get fog cloud, so you don't need a little fog grenade, you throw out, right? You just have fog cloud, which is the same kind of thing, right? You can get things like Zephyr Strike, so you can move around the battlefield when you're fighting all that big that gang of bad guys really fast, right? You get things like Long Strider, so you really are even moving even faster than everybody else.
Yeah, I took Long Strider too. Pass Without a Trace and stuff like that.
And Pass Without a Trace, you things get like jumps, because Batman could jump across big leaps across buildings, right? So you do things like jump.
I did Catapult.
Yeah, there you go, Catapult. Nice.
Well, and catapults for like smaller things, but it'd be easy like to take a tracker and just catapult.
Right. Right on the guy. That's awesome. I would do things like the silent spell, because you just, you can get into the place you're trying to collect evidence from or sneak up on guys. You'll never hear him coming because he's laid down that silence field, right?
Yeah, you're watching the cartoon or you're reading the comic and you're seeing him just like and latch and it opens up. And that's the reason why they don't have the little sound bubble that goes click whenever he breaks into something, because he's already put on the silent spell, guys. That's why. So again with the Ranger list, there's a lot of just kind of spells that I think that would support his tool belt and what you would put in his tool belt with Definitely.
But the fun that goes with this, right, is the Swarm Keeper, right? So as the Swarm Keeper Ranger, right, you get a swarm of some fake type creature, right? It could be birds, it can be pixies, it can be flies, whatever, right? But in this case, it's bats, right? So this Batman has a swarm of bats that follows him everywhere he goes. He literally strikes fear into the bounties he collects as him and a swarm of bats falls down. Now, I think this swarm is really cool because they give you things like, eventually they can give you flying. So he doesn't need a grapple gun to go from building to building. He literally is flying from building to building with a swarm, right?
That's cool.
They can knock down foes and make them prone. So you can like get on guys and win fights better.
That's neat.
And again, like I said, just the idea of just like this guy who's dressed as a bat with a swarm of bats coming on you, right? Strikes the fear.
That's awesome.
Other cool things that like the Ranger gets, right, is like something like Nature's Veil, right? So he literally can just go invisible. So it kind of enhances that. He just disappears, when he's talking to Commissioner Gordon. He's gone. Or even sneaking up on your quarry, right? Yeah. He's just invisible. Eventually you get something like Vanish, right, which he gets to take a hide action as a bonus action. So again, it's just like he's just gone, right? That's Batman, right?
Yeah.
You never see him coming until it's too late, and when you're talking to him, he's just gone.
I had the same idea, and that's a lot of reason why I chose Skulker. And like in the Arkham one, he just grapplings up, and it's like, I could see you really well, and you're looking right at the gargoyle I'm sitting on, and you're like, where'd he go?
Right. And it's with me, I kind of think like that's like Pass Without Trace, right? Or he is invisible, or using Pass Without Trace. But
same idea. That's
so cool. I mean, with Pass Without Trace, and then with your Vanish, right, you can just hide as a bonus action. It's like, okay, you're getting away wherever you want fast as you're hunting your quarry. Anyway, so that's my Batman.
That's a really cool Batman.
So, and I will say, like, what's fun about this build I liked is like, about level 8, I would say, like, you're starting to kind of feel like Batman, right? You've got a couple feet, so you're punching people just fine.
That's a lot faster
your martial,
than
mine. You have martial depth, so you have that really cool fighting style you're integrating into. You got a lot of your different ranger abilities. You have your swarm. By level 10, you're probably feeling more of it. Just because now you probably have like the alert feat, right?
Okay.
And then I would say around 12 to 14, you have all your extra skills and you're kind of really coming to your full ranger abilities you got.
Yeah.
And again, you got things like the Vanish spell, so you can hide as bonus action, you can go invisible. So you really will start to feel like Batman. Like this is like, Batman, not Batman year 1, right? You're like Batman, like experienced Batman, right? That's level 14.
That's cool.
So that's my Batman. He's the guy with the bats, right?
That's freaking sick. And I love that. And I think about that, like when he jumps and he's like gliding down and his wings pop out. It's like, he's got a bunch of bats under his cape and he lands. In my case, he's got like a cloak of protection and then he jumps down and he's a monk, so he's got slow fall.
Right.
So And so he's like, wee.
and again with the swarm, they help you glide down and fly down, right? So it's like. Same kind of thing. I didn't really go into too much magic items because that can be very varied between game to game. Although with your Artificer it makes sense because you get to pick and choose what you get. So that's awesome. And with mine, I didn't really include it too much because, again, you don't know what you'll probably get.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But, I mean, again, some component items like Cloak of Protections, I think Cloak of the Bat itself will let you turn into a bat.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool for something like this.
That would be really sick. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome, Brad. if you liked this build, comment and tell us what you think we missed. Go ahead, rage internet. Tell us why he's actually a rogue, because we all know it's probably true.
I actually I always say again, I'm not going to go with the build, but I think your generic Batman probably is probably a monk fighter, honestly.
Probably.
Personally.
Yeah.
You can argue with me that all day long in the comments. It's fine. I'll go toe to toe with you.
I'd love to hear
I'll
that.
show you my proof.
I did have a thought about that, like, because there's a monk that can do like this life touch. So basically,
I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
too.
so it's like
Batman
doesn't kill, so he knocks them out and he life touches them, so they're stabilized immediately. So he can do critical damage to them. Like, you put your knee on their face and you hear all the bones popping, and it's like, you're fine.
I take you alive.
You're not dead.
I tell you what condition to be alive, but you be alive.
Right.
That's awesome.
You guys should definitely leave a comment and tell us what you want us to build next,
and we'll do it.
We are Motley Mimic. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. I am going to suggest that you like and subscribe.
Dude.
What's up?
You need like snake's tongue or like sweet oil, honeycomb, something to do that spell.
It takes components?
Like every spell does. What are you talking about?
Who has a snake's tongue?
Wizards?
Okay,
Wizards do?
One second. Oh, okay, I can do this one. All right. Okay, how about this? I want to remind you how good of friends we are. What?
Small amount of makeup, bro.
What?
Small amount of makeup. When you cast a spell, you have to apply it.
Now that we're friends, like and subscribe. Catch you next time.